Welcome back to another weekly gossip in Hashgraph. More updates on Hedera18. The APIs go live. And more media coverage. With all this said, let's start the episode.
What is he talking about? And who am I? That's a secret you obviously know. You know you like me. Hashgraph.
Hello, Hedera Hashgraph community. I'm the Gossip Guy, your trusted source for news and developments from the world powered by Hashgraph. And although summer is coming to an end, things are only picking up as we get closer to the public launch of the Hedera Hashgraph platform. For this week's episode, we're going to start first with some updates as it relates to Hedera18. We'll then look at the APIs that were recently made available to the public. Then we'll look at some news coverage related to Hedera Hashgraph that I thought you would find to be interesting. And finally, we'll also have some special guests at the end of this episode, so be sure to tune in for this. But before we get started with this episode, if you find this video to be helpful and informative, be sure to leave a like, as it helps my content get discovered on YouTube. This out of the way, let's get started. First up, I wanted to provide some updates related to some recent developments related to Hedera18. As a refresher, Hedera18 is the inaugural Hashgraph Developer Conference taking place on October 15th through the 17th in Dallas, Texas, and will also be accompanied by a global distributed hackathon, which was originally taking place in 5 cities around the world. However, on that note, we recently found out that 4 new cities will be hosting the hackathon, which now includes San Francisco, California, Bangalore, India, Paris, France, and Moscow, Russia. Now, I'm not quite sure what the reason was for adding these 4 new locations. However, all of these cities happen to be global hubs for developer talent and also have very healthy Hashgraph communities. As a reminder, to participate in these hackathons is completely free. Thus, it's great to see that Hedera has added these additional cities as it'll allow for more people to participate in hackathons. And if you're still debating whether to attend this conference in person, you have more reason to do so, as we recently found out that the registration costs for the event were reduced to $200. This is exciting, as this will hopefully provide an incentive for more people in the community to attend. However, be sure to make this decision soon, as hotels in the area are filling up. Also, it looks like there was a slight revision to the agenda. The main conference itself has now been consolidated into one day on October 17th. However, the hackathon will still be taking place on the 15th through the 16th. I'll expect to continue to provide you these updates and developments as we get closer to the event itself. So stay posted. Next up, the Hedera APIs are made available. With the launch of the Mainnet, the public APIs have been completed and are now being rolled out to select partners, basically the early projects that have been announced within the ecosystem. Now, as a disclosure, these APIs are not available to the mainstream public. All of the projects that have been provided early access are under an NDA, so limited information is available at the moment. However, from my understanding, there was a call this past week with developers that covered the rollout of the APIs. The APIs are being supported by protobuf, aka HTTP2 protocol buffers, which are also used by companies such as Google for their inter-machine communications. We understand from other updates made by the Hedera Hashgraph team that the APIs will be made available first in Java and eventually rolled out in Python and Go languages. I've also heard that Hedera Hashgraph has provided their API documentation, and the gossip is that there is generally good feedback on what Hedera has prepared. This is obviously great news, as some of these early projects can begin to integrate their dApps on top of the Hedera Hashgraph platform in advance of its eventual public launch sometime in 2019. And moving on, I also wanted to highlight some news that featured Hedera Hashgraph. Starting first with an article from Finder, a news outlet in Australia, that took a look at the recent Hedera Hashgraph mainnet launch, along with providing some general reactions and opinions related to this. In the article, it first starts off with an overview of what took place with the launch, but also goes into talking about what we should expect from the public launch and the promise that Hedera Hashgraph provides to dApp developers. And then the article takes a shift and provides some opinions as it relates to governance structure for Hedera Hashgraph, along with talking about the differences between distributed consensus and decentralization for the platform overall, while also comparing Hedera Hashgraph to some of the other public distributed ledgers, including Ethereum, EOS, and also explaining what are some of the centralized elements associated with those platforms. In the end, the author of the article gives credit to Hedera Hashgraph for attempting a distributed approach, even though that there are some centralized elements with their governance structure. The author states, simply by openly acknowledging this and transparently laying out its governance systems, i.e. the Hedera Hashgraph Council, along with a plan for hopefully keeping its governance at least somewhat decentralized, i.e. the term limits associated with the Hedera Hashgraph Council members, Hashgraph is head and shoulders above most other projects and much more decentralized than the most. Thus, it's good to see that some other people are taking objective views at the proposed governance structure for Hedera Hashgraph. Next, we go to TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco, where CEO and co-founder Mance Harmon was featured on a panel that focused on distributed ledger technologies. Mance was joined by 3 other experts within the DLT space, and the panel covered open source governance and its pros and cons, alternatives to blockchains, and enterprise adoption. Most of the topics that Mance covered were similar to what we've heard in other interviews. However, it was also interesting to hear the perspectives from the other panelists, especially from the IBM Hyperledger representative, that lent some insights regarding enterprise adoption. You should check out this article and the live stream from TechCrunch when you get the chance.
But before we wrap up, I thought we'd introduce ourselves. I'm Andrew Antar, founder of Hero.fm.
And I am Brian Antar, also the founder of Hero.fm.
And we're launching a music streaming platform powered by the Jam token, which is going to run on Hedera Hashgraph. And essentially, Hashgraph is the only technology that can really facilitate our vision of micropayments directly to artists for music streaming.
And we've been working on this project together for about 5-6 years now. We're both classically trained violinists, and we saw a real need in the market for helping independent artists get their music out there and get heard.
Yeah, essentially when the music gets played, the artist gets paid, and that's what we're trying to do here. So what we want to do is really change the nature of the music industry and disrupt the business model with a new business model, which only Hashgraph now enables us to do.
Where can people go to get more information?
Go to token.hero.fm, and that's HEARO.fm, or you can check out tune.fm, which will redirect, since our new tokenized platform will be called tune.fm.
So that's it. That's all the updates that I have for you this week. I want to first start off by thanking the Hero.fm team, who I recently had the opportunity to meet with, and will be putting out some content as it relates to their project in the coming weeks ahead. Lastly, if you find these videos to be helpful and informative, be sure to leave a like. And if there's any other topics that you're interested in, let me know by leaving a comment down below. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in order to stay posted on further news and updates coming from the world powered by Hashgraph. With all this being said, this is the Gossip Guy signing out. Thanks for watching.